The restoration project differs substantially from any other architectural project, while generally we associate the idea of project with the intellectual freedom of the designer who, from the blank sheet of paper, abstractly thinks of an architectural organism which will later be transformed into the physicality of an architecture. In the case of the restoration project, the starting point is an existing building, so it is not the blank sheet. You had to start from something that is already existing. It's totally different, you can imagine. In this sense, before proceeding with the project, it is essential to gather information about the building from iconographic to bibliographic, from planimetric and evaluation evolution to materials and the state of preservation. The survey that must be produced for the drafting of the restoration project must also respond to very clear lines, with the aim of including in the graphs, through appropriate drawings, the temporal dimension, so as to make clear what the line of evolution of the phenomena affecting the factory of the time has been. For the reason discussed above, the restoration project may be thought of in two parts, one that we could call architecture and one related to the state of the building, with a focus on the unfolding of the phenomena of decay, destruction, etc. In the architectural part, the designer will, as a first step, have to define the needs related to the function that the architecture to be restored will have to support, and to understand what impact that function will have on the spatial and structural characteristics of the factory. The drafting of the restoration project should be organized in stages, each corresponding to a degree of advancement in design thinking. The executive draft, drawn up in accordance with the definitive project, determines in every detail the works to be carried out and their expected cost, and must be developed to a level of definition such that each element is identifiable in form, type, quality, size, and price. Between the information that you have to have on the building, there are something related to location of the asset, with indication of accessibility, relationship to urban territorial surroundings, type of land layings, and more. Information about legal condition of the property, constraints, reference urban instruments, in force, etc. Then you have to have description of the consistency and construction characteristics, indication of the original and succeeding uses over time, and you have to avoid overlaps with those constrained in the historical report. More, illustration of the state of conservation, alteration, degradation, disruption, and illustration of design choices, and last but not least, implementation and organizational phases of the site activity. Between the graphic drawings, the surveys of the architectural drawings of the project have to have the list of demolition and reconstruction, and we have to have also structural drawings and drawings of the various types of installation you need. It's a good idea to recollect all these materials as homogeneous as you can do. So a group, a category of work, etc. For instance, you have excavations, dismountings, finishings, and for each group you have a proficiency, for example, about excavation. You have to have information about compulsory sectional excavation, straight section excavation, archaeological excavation, etc. Probably one of the most important documents is the metric estimate, and this is a fundamental tool for controlling costs and therefore outcomes of the restoration project. The economic documents should be developed in close relation to the graphic documents concerning the execution of the works. A particularly important document for the success of the project is the special contract specification. The document contains details of the works, the manner in which they will be carried out, and the materials that will be used or otherwise requirements deemed sufficient for proper execution. Between the documents that are part of this one, there is contractual rules, it means description of works, regulatory framework, commencement of works, execution of works, more variants, accounting payments, guarantees, and only by strictly and carefully following these steps can the restoration project achieve the goal of preserving the architectural heritage.